Well, welcome to the Morning Update Show. I'm your host, Trae Holiday, and it is Monday, July 13th. At least I got the month right today. We're welcoming you in. We have to get right into it. We have some updates from the mayor this morning, so we got to get into it. Let me throw it over here to my guy, Big O. Big O, happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you. The mayor at a press conference, but
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Protocol dictates that we have our discussion. She'd be all right.
That's
First of all, how
right.
was your weekend? And you went to Chicago, right?
Yeah, I did. I enjoyed myself so much, man. The weather was beautiful out there. I was right next to the Buckingham Fountain. Had no idea that my hotel was so close. So it was beautiful.
Bowling.
Yeah, it was good. We had a good time. It was fun.
All right, that's what's up.
And
man.
you were away too, right?
No, just stuck around right here. You know what I'm saying? Find me up on Capitol Hill.
Right on.
And got to go over to the Central District to the home turf for a minute. So, this is covering this story. It's always a new twist and turn. And we called this. Speaking of the mayor's press conference, we called this last week. We called this this was telegraphed. It was telegraphed last week when Chief Best sent her letter to Mayor Durkin. And in the letter, Chief Best said, well, city council hasn't talked to me. I haven't talked to them. They don't want to rely on my, experience of whatever. And you see today in the press conference, and then that's what Mayor Durkin comes back with, how dare the city council? They're so out of touch and this and that. These guys are telegraphing punches. I don't know, if they could be boxers or not. But everything so far has been highly telegraphed. Also, something else has been really telegraphed is, the lack of transparency.
Yeah.
It's a lack of transparency. Now, I know, what I'm saying, you work over at Africatown. You work over at Africatown Land Trust. In the mayor's press conference earlier, I asked her what community groups that she's working with around this issue right here. This is the issue of defund and everything else. And she mentioned Africatown. I called KY King Garrett right when we got off the phone. Y King was like, the only conversations that they really had with the mayor's office is around Fire Station 6. So, just right there, this is what I'm saying is I don't understand why there's a lack of transparency, not only for the black community, as somebody who's grown up black, Central District, Seattle, Garfield High School, yourself, Central District, Garfield High School, but not only for the black community should people know who the mayor is talking to. This is important for everybody.
Yeah.
Looks like we got a fire alarm going right.
They're testing
That's
fire
because the
alarms.
city is hot. It's getting hot in the Emerald City right now. So they're doing some
There we
fire
go.
alarm testing. But the thing is, so once you have that clip ready, just in case this fire alarm comes back. But the thing is, it's important for every single citizen in the Emerald City to know at this important moment in time in our city's history, who is influencing the mayor.
Yeah.
Who is the mayor talking to? And if you got to meet in secret, then what benefit can you bring the city? It's like, well, the cameras don't have to be there. The mayor inferred, and we'll play her clip, that, some people don't want cameras there. Cool. But can we get a first and a last name?
Yeah.
That was one of the things with the protesters. It was a big deal. It was like, man, I need your first and last name. If you're talking about leading a protest and being out front here, what's your first and last name? You know what I'm saying? That's the same thing we'd ask the protesters. What is your first and last name? So why is it a big deal for us to get a first and a last name and an organization of exactly who the mayor is meeting with? It doesn't matter, and I would agree with her that it doesn't matter if, per se, me or the next person agrees with that organization's viewpoint or not. That organization could be totally left or totally right. That's not my concern.
Right.
My concern is why the shroud of secrecy? Why can't we get first names and last names? Why can't we get organizations? Why is it okay to be like, oh, well, people want to meet in secret? Ladies and gentlemen, in the city of Seattle, this secrecy impacts all of us. We're going to play that clip, are you?
Hi, good morning, Mayor Durkin, Chief Best. My question is that we've heard a lot from your office, from both offices, to say a lot about your interaction with community leaders, members of the community, but we've yet to get any information as to who exactly is the office of the mayor meeting with, who exactly is the police chief meeting with, especially me as a media organization that's based in the Black community. I'm very anxious to know who exactly are you guys talking to when you're getting information for these very important decisions that are being made?
Thank you, Omar. I think that's actually a great question. And actually, there's been a lot of information about that because there's such a saturation, it's hard to follow. But for example, in the room today, just by volunteering, is one of the associate pastors at Mount Zion. The chief and I both met with, as you know, the day you were at the church, before the meeting we had with some of the folks from the area in Capitol Hill. We also met with Black ministers. I've met with any range of organizations and people, some who've asked for meetings, some who I've ended up meeting with. I had met with protesters who showed up at the door. We can try to compile a list, but I will say that I don't believe that any mayor and any chief should try to meet just with people they agree with, nor with people that they deem legitimate. And so I have everyone from representatives from Not This Time to Africa Town to other protesters to Black community to established Black-led organizations. So we are trying to make it very broad. Many of those people, I know this may shock you, don't want press in the room when they're talking because they want to have a candid conversation with their chief and their mayor because it is a difficult time for everyone. So we've done both public meetings and meetings that are more private, and we'll continue to do so.
All right, so a few things there, right? I definitely can agree that there's a time and place for media and cameras and everything else. And I'm not saying that a camera, there's a live streamer photographer for every meeting that's occurring with the mayor, the office of the mayor, no matter who holds it, they have a right, there's some things that are discussed in private and everything else. No problem. So I can give you that one, Mayor Durkin, for sure. And the thing is me, ConvergeMedia, my issue isn't who we might consider legitimate or illegitimate. My issue is that if you are meeting at this grand stage, this is the grand stage that you have said many times. You said unprecedented. Many times you said reimagine. These are only your words. You know what I'm saying? So these are the words that have come out of your mouth at this grand stage, this unprecedented time in our city where you plan to reimagine a new Seattle. We need to know who you're talking to.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely. I agree there. And I do think that, in terms of all of this momentum and all of this movement, there has been several meetings that have happened in terms of, her meeting with different community groups. I know specifically Africa Town, we did a meeting at Langston Hughes, and we weren't invited to that meeting. We ended up showing up, and I'm happy that, we were accepted to be a part of the meeting. And that meeting was a public meeting, and Converge was there live streaming it. Eric was in the room making sure that was kind of out there for folks. So that was already out there. But it's important that people understand and know when we talk about leveling up on transparency, it's just important that all of the constituents in Seattle really begin to have that trust and feel that the work that's being done from the mayor's office is really about listening to the people and being accountable in that regard. And unfortunately, when these meetings are happening and, you don't hear from these community groups, unfortunately, a lot of this stuff is coming from the mayor's office, and it creates somewhat of an imbalance of information.
So I'm gonna give some free advice here. You know what I'm saying? For people down in City Hall and people in the city who might not know. One, City Hall, the city of Seattle, has been known for decades to divide and conquer in the Black community and to always be able to pit one group of Black folk against the other group of Black folk, and then they fighting, the Black folks is fighting over a little scrap of bread. City Hall has been masterful at this, no matter who the mayor is. So one, you're already up against history. You see what I'm saying? Bad management of relationships by City Hall and the Black community. So one, that should already make you want to be super transparent. Two, like I said, you can't say that you're reimagining for a whole city, and it's not just Black people who need to know who you're meeting with. It's our people over in Magnolia. It's our people in Northgate. It's our people in South Seattle. It's our people in Alki. It's all the stakeholders of the Emerald City deserve to know who is shaping this reimagination policy. Because the other thing people might not know in this city is consistently, no matter who the mayor is, they've always attached to gatekeepers. You remember when the barricade was up? And you guys would hear me talk about there's too many gatekeepers. We need to find the bridge builders. Man, Mayor Durkin, if you have a list of bridge builders, you should be wanting to wave them from the rooftop. Look at all these bridge builders I have. You know, it's just like draft day. Drafted this guy, this person, this person, this person. Man, where are your bridge builders? You know what I'm saying? Scream their names from the top of City Hall, because time and time again, the black community has been impacted by gatekeepers, and it's generational now. We can go back a generation and 2 generations of gatekeepers who had the ear of the governor, who had the ear of the county commissioner, who had the ear of the mayor, and man, they benefited the few and not the many, and that's part of the reason why you see a lack of progress over the years in our community. No more gatekeepers, down with the bridge builders.
I love that, Omari, and I think you're so right in terms of the history of our city. We've seen it time and time again, and one of the things that I always love to uplift is this is why, in terms of the new normal, so much of it has to be reshaped in a coalition style, because we're not having that no more. We're no longer going to allow for the elected officials or those in power that be to say, look, we're going to lean on this one black organization because they got their ear to the ground. We believe that they can do all the work, or at least they're going to do what we ask and tell them to do. No, it's not about that. And if you really want to reimagine something new and be innovative, now is the time to do something different and drastic, change that mentality. And I think that that's why coalitions are the way to go. You can't lean on one organization or one institution. It has to be a combination of a multitude of institutions that are coming together with the same shared set of values that are moving this work forward. It can no longer be about one institution, one or two. That's not what it's about.
Yeah, and I'm like, or either just be bold and be like, yeah, it is just one or two, and these are the one or two that I'm rolling with. I mean, this gray area is like, get out the gray area. How you gonna do it? I mean, because the thing is the questions won't stop. And here's the thing that the mayor and city council might want to keep in mind is that, man, the days of the old school black leadership is over. I hate to break it to you. The days of one person telling you what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's all due love and respect for our churches and our community, and respect for all of our preachers and part of this institution that's kept our community together here in Seattle for almost 140 years. But there's a lot of people who ain't listening to their preacher. It's a lot of people who ain't even going to church anymore.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? It's a lot of people. So, I mean, it comes down to really at the end of the day, it's like, man, whoever the mayor is talking with better make sure she can really move the streets.
Yes.
Because you know what I'm saying? We look at a lot of panels, we look at a lot of whatever, you know, I keep my judgment to myself, but you know what I'm saying? You can tell that a lot of people are in place just to be in place. It's like, man, if that person can't really enact change in their own community, but they look good on your board or your panel or your whatever, you got to reassess that. Because like I said, the days are going in being able to get all the black preachers on board on one message, and now the black community falls rank and file, that's over with.
Yes.
That don't exist no more in our city or almost anywhere in America.
I'm just glad that you uplift that, and that you also give credence and give recognition and respect to all of those who have paved the way. But you are so right in terms of ownership and accountability. And this is what a lot of these younger organizations are talking about. You can hear it from the top of all of their discussion. And this is why so many are joining into a coalition, because again, they realize, look, we all have the same set of shared values. And ultimately, we're not the only ones saying this. Now we're connected to a bunch of other groups that are saying the same messaging. And overall, you cannot at all go to one particular party, one group, and think that you're actually reaching the majority of the black community. It's important as we move forward, and when we talk about rebuilding and what these building blocks really look like in terms of new normal, you really do have to be plugged into community groups that are plugged into their community, because otherwise all the work that you're doing behind the scenes with other groups is not actually reaching the people.
Yeah, man, I'm still waiting for the public meeting, because even these groups and coalitions is cool, but I'm just waiting for something to be opened up just for the, you know what I'm saying, for the people.
Yes.
You feel me? And I mean, I think there needs to be more of those type things, because there isn't one coalition that probably covers everybody's,
right,
you know, what everybody is into. But I just think that, you know, for this important time that we're at right now in the city, for this important time right now, we need to know. And so I want to be very clear. It doesn't matter to me, because I see all kinds. Someone could be doing the work for 30 years, or someone could have been inspired by these events around the tragic murder of George Floyd. And now, you know what I'm saying, they could have been a barista, but they're just very passionate and they got an audience with the mayor, and that's cool too. I'm not judging people like that, like, oh, well, this person's 30 years, this person was a barista. You know, the barista might have some dope ideas. What I am saying, though, is we, the people of the Emerald City, deserve to know, first name, last name, you know what I'm saying, who is helping the mayor reimagine and reshape the Emerald City. And not just us black folk in the CD need to know that. Everybody in the city of Seattle, this is what we deserve. Because at this important movement, and the other thing is this $100 million that the mayor keeps talking about that she's going to put somewhere, and the $5 million for tutoring and the buildings that are supposed to happen. Man, this is going on 2-3 months of the exact same talking points. Where's the $100 million going to come from? Where's the money going to? How qualified are the people getting the money? What's the return on investment for this $100 million? You know what I'm saying? This $5 million, who's that going to? Who's doing the tutoring? What's their track record? You know what I mean, man? We deserve it. It's now. Now is the time. People would just deserve answers.
I agree with that. Oh, and I think that, again, what we've seen, unfortunately, in our history is a lot of those kind of, like you said, grandstanding, sound bites, you know, these little talking points that become these sound bites. And then we're looking for the meat on the bones. You know, ultimately, a lot of folks have been asking, well, have you guys got the keys? Have you guys got the keys to Fire Station 6? And it's like, no, we haven't. It is moving forward. But again, in a heavy bureaucratic, hierarchical.
It's been 5 or 6 years.
Exactly. And so it's already been so much time that's been in the black community kind of waiting on things to happen. We know, just like with the senior center, that senior center has been promised to the black community for 7 mayors. So when you start learning these things and you realize that traditionally the old way of moving slow and methodical just isn't going to work at this time, it's really, really necessary to move with expediency, because the community has already been waiting for things, been waiting for change, been waiting for balance, been waiting for equity. And now is really the time to enact.
Yeah, and you know the other thing is that you know the mayor, and we were looking at some of the past episodes of the Morning Update show. The mayor proved with COVID that anything is possible. The city, our country, they did some amazing things in the response to COVID-19, and our mayor in the city of Seattle did some amazing things as well. And you would think that, you know, some of the things, especially these are the things that she's promised. I'm not talking about the things that other people want. Defund wants this, Decriminalize Seattle wants that, KCN wants that. But this money that you promised through your infrastructure, through your system, we've seen you do amazing things with COVID, you know what I'm saying, and using your system and infrastructure. Man, let's get the show on the road. This is what I'm saying. No one forced your arm and made you say that. It's come out your mouth, and man, let's get onto it. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm just there is no, and I will say this, there's so many different issues going on. I don't expect one press conference to cover everything and to make everything okay and everything else. But all I'm asking for, and we're going to have another conversation tomorrow around budget and everything else, you know what I'm saying? But all I'm asking for, as somebody, you know, grown up in the Central District on 29th and Jackson, went to James A. Garfield, played at CAY, my son, you know, played football, CD Panthers, my daughter, CD Cheer, you know, all my family there in our Central District. And all we're asking is for whoever is secretly meeting with the mayor or city council or whoever on trying to reimagine, make yourself known, make yourself transparent. And actually, here's what we're going to do. Any black organizations that's out there, you know, we're willing to give you the platform. You can come, you can remove the shroud of secrecy. We'll give you the platform. You can come here and talk as long as you want. We're more than happy to turn the cameras on and let you talk and explain your agenda, where you're coming from, and the Seattle that you imagine. The platform is yours. You contact us. We're more than happy to have you in here and let you talk and you explain your platform and how you reimagine Seattle and what advice that you are giving to Mayor Durkin.
Yeah, I think it's important that the people know, understand, and see. And also, too, I think a lot of people are always like, well, who is it? Who is it? Because so many times we've been bamboozled with that. So many times it's been said that, we're meeting with so-and-so, it's happening in the shadows. Oh no, we're working on it. We're working on it. And what ends up coming out of it is something that is way less than what the people were wanting. And I think that ultimately is not something that a lot of us can stomach at this point. And I think, when you see this unrest and when you see people still coming out, I mean, you can, clear up Capitol Hill and the chop zone. But as we had folks on last week attesting to the fact that the chop zone may be cleared, but the spirit of the chop is alive and well. The spirit of the protesters is still alive and well. In communities like the CD and the South End, we're still seeing that resurgence of community support and that swell of energy. So I think exactly what you're pointing to is what needs to be said now and what needs to be uncovered. I love that Converge will give the platform to whoever is working with the mayor, because it's important that the people
we
know.
got time. This is an important time in our city's history. So, I mean, we got time. Here at Converge, we got time, we got capacity. If you're an organization here and you got something to say, then it's like, man, we got the platform for you. We'll stream it out unedited as long as you want to discuss so we can get it out there. But we, the people, the citizens of Seattle, we deserve to hear from you. We're going to take a short break right now. We come back. Looks like SDOT went and brought the artwork that was in storage. They've taken it down to King Street Station this morning, and they started to unload the chop art that was part of the chop. We're watching the Morning Update Show.
Well, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. I'm your host, Trae Holiday, working with my very talented, very capable, very amazing.
I get all the
very amazing, doing it all the way.
All the
my brother
today, huh?
Omari Salisbury.
I'll take that. We were just talking about transparency in the last segment, and I can say that SDOT they called. They actually emailed a few days ago and said that they were going to be moving the art from their storage facilities into King Street Station. And could you go ahead and put those pictures up? And so this is about an hour and a half ago, 2 hours ago. Some of the things that came out of SDOT's storage facility are now moved in over to King Street Station, where it's going to go to Seattle Arts and Culture, and then Seattle Arts and Culture will catalog it. Then from there, it's going to be a whole nother process. But, I mean, what Arts and Culture has said is that they have no intention to, put up a chop museum or to display any artist's art that doesn't want to display it. And actually, they want to catalog it so they can try to give art back to people who can identify that they created the art. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think that the artwork from the chop is some of the most, some iconic work was really done out there. And honestly, again, I love the term zeitgeist, because what we're living in is such a sign of the times. You know what I mean? And the chop was such a sign of the times. And I feel like the art is too. Working with some artists myself, we're pulling together some teams of folks doing murals around the city and throughout the city. So the art is still staying alive and well. uh-oh, we have business owners who are like, look, hey, come and use the side of my building. We want our building to make a statement as well. We support this movement. And to see that swell of support and so many people who are willing, so many artists who are working together, it's one of the things that I really take away from the CHOP in terms of such positivity when you see all that artwork.
Right. And I mean, the other thing as well is, so a lot of people might look at it and they're like, there was varying grades of art or street art, in some cases graffiti, but a lot of what's stored there is the wood boxes that SDOT actually put up. SDOT put the boxes up for artists to come and create. And so I know that a lot of people who might not follow the CHOP, they're like, oh, well, man, it's a bunch of vandals, what I'm saying, spray paint, which there's a lot of spray paint around here. But that particular project right there, the murals, was something that the city had actually put those wood frames in place. And artists came and, in an orderly fashion and painted different murals there. Now, there's other art as well, all right, Bobby?
Yeah.
It's like different mural. There's some paper. There was some like painting, stuff like that. Right. So everything that was on the fence, that was on the precinct, everything actually that wasn't stolen, because there was a lot of art that that was stolen out from the CHOP as well. Right,
Oh, okay.
Right. Oh, it's just a good thing to know too. So, Seattle Arts and Culture, if you happened to take some art, borrowed some art over here, I guess, stored it in your home, and you want to return it, you could take it down to Arts and Culture. Moving along, we're actually getting out of here a bit short today because there's another press conference at noon that we're going to be carrying. All I know right now is it's a bunch of lawyers. So we'll see how that goes. I bumped into a protester, Trae Bay, up on Seattle Central the other day. Wanted to get some perspective. We keep checking in with the protesters, at least the people we see on the streets, to get some perspective of how she thought the protests were coming along, the progress being made, and how long she intended to be out on the streets.
So right now what's going on at Seattle Central is we're calling for our demands to be met, and it was actually brought together as a collective of our demands. Now, the city of Seattle, the city council did do a 7-9 vote to defund the SPD by 50%, but that's not enough. We want to end qualified immunity. We want to make sure that that money is going into the communities that are black and brown. We want to make sure that there is a complete oversight of everything that's being transparent with how they're handling everything. We want to make sure that cops that are, killing people, that there's an end to qualified immunity. And that's not even just here, that's nationwide. There needs to be a way for officers to come speak forward for anything that they're seeing that is unjust. We need to have whistleblower protection. There are cops that cannot come forward and speak about anything. And we want to make sure that we're making it as a collective as far as a community effort. And that's even with having oversight from a multiracial oversight board as far as into charges that are brought against police brutality.
Right. And what is your role here?
So my role is I'm the facilitator. My name is Trae, and I'm here facilitating and keep applying the pressure and keep applying the foot on the city council's neck. I've been protesting since May 30th. I've been tear gassed twice. I've been pepper sprayed and maced. I will not go away because they need to meet all of our demands. We need to live in a world where all black and brown people feel free. But definitely we need to make sure that our black men and black women continue to stay free and that they have some type of justice.
Right, and what do you hope to be able to achieve by these marches and protests? Are you feeling that's going to put pressure on the city council?
It is applying pressure right now because we're outside of Mayor Durkin's house. We're constantly outside here in the streets. We're here in the Seattle Central's ground right here. We occupied one of their precincts. So our whole goal is to keep applying pressure so that all of our demands are met. And you can find all of our demands on my story. And we want all 14 demands met, like all of them. We can't just continue to just hush and give black people a little bit of something. We want everything.
All right, is there anything else you want people to know?
Black lives matter today, every day, and so do indigenous lives as well too, because our indigenous brothers and sisters, this is their land, and we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. So this is their land, and we need to make sure that we show respect to them, and we need to make sure that we continue to speak out. And for all allies, you need to make sure that you're not just not being racist, that you're actively not being racist, and that's actively calling out people, and that's actively making sure that you show up in numbers, and making sure that you support your Black and brown communities, especially the Black communities, because those are the ones that suffer the most. Even with COVID, we are dying the most, and we have lost our jobs the most.
All right, Trae. I say, see, there's a jacking you for your name.
Hey, shout out to Trayvana, Trae Bay, out there. Again, I think that is so important that we keep on hearing from the protesters, that we keep on putting those voices out there, that we keep on making sure that people hear the stories and the message and the narrative that's really coming from the folks on the streets, and that that literally it's not something that we're thinking about internally. It's not something that we're sitting here creating our own understanding of or our own ideologies around. It's very important to hear from folks like her. And what did she just say there? Look, we need all 14 demands met. This is what these protesters are out there fighting for. They have their list of demands. She said they're up on her story. And I think it's important that people understand there's a way to know what's kind of going on in the protesters' minds. And there's a way for these elected officials to really start to build some framework around that. No more. I like what she said. No more can we accept small little crumbs here. And it's kind of what you were talking about too. No more crumbs, man. We really need to understand how this is rolling out in the city and from the city's perspective.
Yeah, and just for context, what I said is that City Hall is very good at making the Black community fight over crumbs and bread. So please don't throw me in the mix with Trae Bay, but I do hear what you're saying. Yeah. Another person that we talked to actually over the weekend was TK, and TK is someone that we've been following here for a while, really since the protests first started. And TK led a march. They added a new slogan onto their thing. We had to edit that out. My mama watching, but we caught up with TK, and what we saw though is that the SPD was behind the protesters, maybe like a block behind or a block or two behind. And so we wanted to ask TK, was that communication with SPD? Is SPD there to protect the protesters now because of the incidents around cars? Or is SPD just following the protesters? And we just kind of wanted to see what was going on. There's quite a few, a block or two back. There's quite a few SPD officers there, and I'm assuming that they're there to be able to keep people from running behind and everything else. Are you guys welcoming the SPD presence just 2 blocks behind you?
I didn't even know they were back there. Okay. They don't never want to. They always follow us around, but always want to claim they don't know where we're going. They don't know where we're at. We switch our routes every day.
Well, they definitely know where you're at tonight, and there's at least 4. How many cars do you see, Jake?
There was 3 parked in the center. Right
Come on,
there's quite a few that are there, and we haven't talked to SPD. I'll give them a call and ask them what their intentions are, if it's for safety.
We showed and asked them for their help.
To monitor.
They didn't come and protest talking about, we're here to help you guys. They didn't say shit to us. Okay. They always do that. They follow us from afar, and then when shit happens, they want to act like they're saving the day, but they ain't saving shit, bro. You guys are back there for your own purposes. We didn't ask for your help. Right. We didn't call you guys, say, hey, we're protesting. Bro, you guys know we do this every day. You guys know our routes every day. We changed it. We've been changing it this whole week. Yeah. And you guys have always been there somehow. Yeah.
Okay.
Come on, bro. Don't act like you guys can't help out, or you guys just won't. And honestly, that's okay, because I like our system better.
Right.
Our system is working.
There's, as usual, there's a lot of people, especially City Hall and things like that are watching this stream. You got anything to say right now?
Meet the demands. Well, we got the majority veto-proof vote to defund SPD by 50%. Well, Alex Peterson and Deborah Juarez, you might as well jump on the wagon. We already there. You might as well make it unanimous and just stop playing, because either way, we're going to get what we want. Because every day we coming out here. Every day! Every day! Every day! Every day! Every day!
All right. So you see a lot of passion there with TK. And it was That was my first time really going on that march or covering that march since the incident on the freeway. So I saw quite a few people there. Had a lot of discussions. I actually live streamed. I hadn't live streamed, I don't think, since that night either. So live streamed for about an hour following that march and everything else, and putting the politics of it to the side, whether you're defund or against defund or whatever. Man, that was a traumatic, tragic experience there on I-5, and seeing some of the same people that I was down there on the freeway with, for the first time, was quite impactful. But the women's march continues.
Yeah.
They continue, and they're versatile. They switch it up. They go to different places. They're doing this and that, but they're staying in the streets.
And as she said, again, when you hear from the protesters and you hear them say stuff like what she just said every day, and to have that group there that's going to be there every day, there's a lot of people that are just not willing to, sleep on this issue. They're pressing for some equity. They're pressing for these demands to be met. I love that, she's calling out the two, council members who voted against. I mean, again, it's also being very informed. And it sounds to me that TK from that clip there is an informed protester who's just not out here emotionally. She's out here with her group to really push for some real change. And, that's what I keep echoing. You're seeing that in every time you talk to a protester. They're not out there saying, we want things to stay the same. We were happy with the status quo. What you're seeing folks say is we can no longer accept this. We can no longer accept this and that. And so that's why you always see me kind of side with, protesters. Because, I'm in a space
you're
where
a
for
protester.
me, well, in a space for me, I don't want to go back to the status quo. I
don't think
want
anybody does.
Yeah, that's why I think it's I when I hear that passion and that sentiment, those are the things that I really connect with, because I agree, and that's why strategy is so important with all of that momentum. I always say that, but you're right, man.
That's
I'm like, power to
your
the people.
Yeah, I mean, and that's fine, and that's the best thing about it, is just being like fully transparent about the show, and I mean that's clearly how you feel, and you have a lot of empathy and a lot of alignment with a lot of the protesters that are out there on the streets. And for me, I'm just trying to tell a story, man.
Yeah.
But it's why it's worked well for both of us too, though.
I know, I
because
love it.
Me just being very straight and narrow, it would be kind of a boring show, and then you being like, in the streets, it'd be like whatever. So
I wanted to
it's
also
a good balance
say, I wanted to also say too that you just hit the nail on the head for me. The fact that those protesters in particular could experience something that's very traumatic, to see the car come through on I-5, and yet still they're not deterred from their message and from their movement. That to me is also something that's very commendable, man. And I just got to be honest, because that being so traumatic, it could be something that's like, nah, man, I can't deal with that. I'm going to stay indoors. But these people are really asking and demanding for change, and they're not stopping until they see it.
All right, but we're going to stop right here. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we got super producer Nikki. Got a few clips over the weekend, including some from the Black Lives Memorial Garden, and then also from the ICE March. You're watching the Morning Update Show. All right, welcome back to the Morning Update Show. I'm your host, Omari Salisbury, and this morning I have the pleasure. We have one of our producers in here. Nikki, what's happening?
Oh, not too much. Not too much. Not used to being in front of the
I was
camera.
going to say, you can't act like as much stuff you be talking off camera. You can't get on camera now and get all quiet. But let's get into it. So basically, I think we have two clips here, right? Mm-hmm. All right, so we have two clips here, and the first one is the Black Lives Memorial, and you were actually over there, right?
Yes. So we had Marcus on the show on Friday. He talked a bit about the event, but they've actually dedicated the gardens at Cal Anderson that they built during the CHOP to the lives lost by police, and specifically here in Seattle. So in the clip, you'll see they actually read out the names of the people who this memorial is for. It was a really beautiful event. Yeah.
All right, can you play that clip, all of you?
Marcos, we're ready. Aaron Roberts Jr. Aaron Roberts Jr.
All right. So, what was the turnout there? It was kind of hard to tell.
Yeah, it was actually pretty large. I'd say at least a couple hundred people. And they provided food. They provided PPE. It was, a really well done event.
All right, and then there's the ICE protest, and there's a backstory behind it. I don't know if we'll get into the backstory today if we'll have time, but apparently there was the ICE protest, and then the protest got canceled. But then some people were like, "Nah, we're gonna go and protest anyway." And let's tell us more about the actual protest. What occurred?
Yeah, so there was a lot of rumors that it was going to happen. It wasn't going to happen. So I wasn't sure what to expect. And I'm usually at HQ when that's happening. Other people are out there streaming, but this was my first opportunity to stream a protest.
Welcome.
Yeah. So they were out there protesting. The main 2 points that they wanted to get across were that there's over 3,000 children missing from the immigration system that, people want answers for. And the other thing is that college students right now are actually being told that they can't stay in America if they're international students because classes are online now due to the coronavirus.
Yeah, actually, I think that I just got an email earlier today from Loyola, Chicago, where my son goes to school, and it looks like most of his classes will be online. So, it's all of them, huh? Okay, he's on set. All your classes are online. Man, I was hoping you got a class, so we go. I miss going to Chicago, but we have the clip right here. Some of the clip from the ICE protests. Maybe you can tell us what's going on.
Yeah. So if you want to go ahead and roll the clip, Alia. So something we don't see a lot in the protest anymore here in Seattle, but I did see when I was out there was damage to the buildings. So we actually saw protesters blow up a trash can. They threw the barricades into the pond. They spray painted the buildings, and this is the Seattle Municipal Court building. And they attempted to break into the building as well, but were stopped by what looks like bulletproof glass. So, we haven't seen a lot of damage in a while, so this is the first time we've seen that. And it was really reminiscent of the early days of the protest, but maybe not quite as forceful.
And I know you speak Spanish, and I was going to ask you to translate one of the things that was spray painted on the glass, but I figured it might not be suitable for TV.
It is not. It definitely uses a word that my mom doesn't want to hear me say on this broadcast. But it is, if the immigration police. So.
Right. And so now, it's like protest season continues. This is a whole nother set of concerns. Typically a whole nother demographic, maybe with a broader common cause. But you said they were specifically around ICE policies, around students who very well might have to leave the country now if the classes are online. as well as children that are in ICE custody but can't be traced or tracked.
Yeah, and we actually spoke with a couple of protesters in the stream, which you can watch the full-length stream on YouTube and Facebook. But we did pull out a clip with one protester who was very specific about why she was there. And what was interesting was the amount of people who were new to protesting. Many of the people we spoke with, this was their first time taking a leadership role in protesting. And it was really interesting. So it really says something about the longevity. If we're getting new leadership now, new young blood, I think you're going to keep it going. So, yeah, our next clip is that interview.
All right, well, we're out here for the ICE protest. There it is. Sorry, 1 second, I'm kind of eavesdropping. For the ICE protest. And recently the government, Trump has put in a situation that students are going to be kicked out if they're doing online courses. So a lot of people are going to get kicked the fuck out of the states, and there's already enough people at this state. So yeah, we're just here to show up for the people who need to be spoken for, and that's the people in the ICE detention centers, but they're students who are getting their asses thrown out right now, which is unacceptable.
All right. So, I mean, this is good. I mean, it's one of the things I think that we have kind of excelled at. You know, everybody has their lane as far as protest coverage, but just getting out there in the streets and, you know, asking people what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, being able to speak directly to the protesters is a really unique perspective that you really only get at Converge. We don't clip up people's interviews, we play them straight, and we also put the entire streams available for you to make your own judgments.
Yeah, people can make your own decisions, own judgments. I like to say, especially like early on when there was a lot of action, shall we call it, best thing is like, you know, you could mute me, turn my volume down. I'm sure there's quite a few people who might want to. But the stream remains. You know what I'm saying? You make your own decisions. You make your own determinations about things, you know, and people can see it for themselves.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. Speaking of seeing it for ourselves, before I get out of here, again, any of the black community leaders, that if man, we want you to come and talk. Your platform is yours. You can reach the whole city and beyond. We want to know how you are reimagining Seattle, and especially if you're one of the black organizations that's meeting with the mayor, the police chief, the city council. You know, the citizens of the Emerald City deserve to hear from you. We want to know what you're all about. And, man, the platform is yours to do that. Just contact us. We'll give you as much time as you want to be able to tell us all about yourself and how your organization is reimagining Seattle. We're going to cut the show early today. There's another press conference that we're going to be covering around the top of the hour, so we're going to prepare for that. And, Nikki, this is the first time for you, huh?
Yeah, Trae's going to let me do the ending, which is such an honor.
We're going to stand up here, and we're going to take a stand. And we're back. The morning show is back tomorrow at 11 a.m., but we'll be back here shortly as we cover this press conference around noon. Until then, have a wonderful day. Peace. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought.